So I continue to make my evening round, just checking up on all corners of the apiary. I find it very important that when I'm beekeeping, and for me to be able to keep track of things, that when I make a round that I include the entire apiary in that round. So I'm going through all the, the larger sized hives, the main production hives. But after I've gone through them, I always make sure I go through, or not go through, but just check up on all the other yards. Like these nuke yards, for one thing, they're a little bit further behind, so they don't need the immediate attention like the rest of the apiary, but they still need attention. They need to be looked after, whether it be feed or space or whatever situation. Just like that last yard I went to in the fives, I found they're just on the verge of starvation. So I dropped a little bit of syrup on that yard. And I seen that they'll need some space next week. So I'm just carrying through. This will be the last of it. What I'm just doing is spot checking. I'm just finding, as I'm going through, I just spot check the hives for food stores is what I'm doing. And because on this side of the apiary we don't have that early bloom of canola, the clover is just peaking, just a little bit of alfalfa. I have a lot of, throughout the entire apiary is a big area. There's different dynamics within the entire area. So one side's on a heavy nectar flow right now. I'm putting fourths on. The other side over here, actually I'm feeding a few yards because there is not bloom yet, but I'm going to be getting that bloom later on in the season. So it's just, got to manage the corners a little bit differently. But I just want to, as I'm going through, I'm just spot checking some of the queens that Carrie is marked as acceptable, just to see what kind of performance they're giving us this year. And I have to say, so far, everything I've checked is absolutely outstanding. This is really encouraging, pulling out frames of just solid cap brood. These guys will be needing space next week for sure, especially with this anticipated bloom coming into next week. So I just want to show you what I'm talking about here. I guess we can just dive into this one here. We'll just take a random peek at a few colonies here. My smoker's gone out, so I'll just have to work a little bit slower. Oop. So we just had a rain, so the ground's wet. So there's not much working on the outside frame here, the foundation. So they're not lacking on space whatsoever. And they have freshly stored syrup and capped honey, so these guys are good for feed stores. It's like they're bringing nectar in from something. Must be the clover. Frame of brood, just beautiful frame of brood. So what I'm seeing here, I got my shades on, so I have my shades on, I'm in the shade, so I can't see the frame as well, but what I'm seeing here is nicely capped brood and mature larvae all the way around it. And then if I peek inside my shades, I have young larvae and eggs, and this frame is absolutely swimming. There's a shine, I can even see the shine with my shades on here. This side too. Little bee here, ouch, fire. Little bee here with a boatload of pollen on, doing a little bit of a dance. So there is nectar flow out. So here's one good solid frame of brood. Just love seeing that. Beautiful frame of brood here. There's nothing wrong. Kind of in the shade here, but just a solid frame of brood. This queen is going to town. There's 3 frames of brood in here. You don't have to see any more. The feed. So I'd say this hive needs very little attention for the next week. As that brood hatches out, I anticipate they'll be hatching out in about a week, week and a half. They're going to be demanding space. So, and especially with this nectar coming in, it's going to be another 10 days or so by the time this crop around here starts blooming. We'll have space on ready for it. So they started working on this foundation. Well, they got this side drawn out. It's very nice. This little light doesn't have as much, could be a little more nectar in this, so they're not as heavy. There's the queen. Kind of in the shade here. Where'd she go? Beautiful little queen. Look at how she just demands her space. Good job she's doing. Beautiful frame of brood. There's that laid out quite nice. Another one. She has eggs right to the corners. There's no room for feed in this frame, neither is this side. And it's just shining. That young larvae is just shining right now. So they must be getting a good pollen source coming in. Some nectar must be flowing in. Those larvae are swimming. And here's a good feed frame here. Yeah, I can feel the weight to it. So there's some stored honey. There it is. These guys are fine. So that puts me in a good mood. I've been finding hives all through all the nukes I've been spot checking. I've been finding them like this. Carrie should be quite pleased with her queens this year. Nothing wrong with that.